And um, in 2013, I had the occasion to ask my mother a very important question. I asked her why she named me Anthony. And she said, well, I didn't name you Anthony. Your father did. I said, well, wait a minute, my biological father. I said, wait a minute, I thought you told me that he didn't want to have anything to do with you once you told him that you were pregnant. Oh, no. He used to come over to the house. He used to hold you. He named you. Well, why did he name me Anthony? I don't know. My middle name, Tyrone. Why did, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So my mother was young, and my biological father only stayed in Chicago for 4 months before he left and disappeared, and my mother never saw him again. So I had made several efforts to try to find him. I knew his name. I had a picture, but I didn't know where he lived. And after several failed attempts and feeling very frustrated, I decided to abandon my search. And then I got sick. I had a life-threatening illness, and in the process of the doctors trying to figure out how I got ill and what the source of my illness was, they would ask me my family history, and I can only give, for all of my life, I could only give doctors 50% of my family history, my mother's history. I didn't know my father. So they put me in contact with a genetic cardiologist who ran some tests to see if I had inherited any coronary defects from my father. Those tests came back negative, but they motivated me to search to try to find my father one more time. And I decided to go through 23andMe, since they have a large database that's connected to the Mormons in Utah. So I did the test, and a couple of weeks later, I got a list with a number of first and second cousins who carried the same gene as my father. And I went through that list. I sent an email to a dozen of those people, told them who I was, said that I was looking for a man by the name of Willie Dixon, who left Chicago in 1951 and returned to Florida. And one person on the list hit me back and said, oh, yeah, I know Willie Dixon. He lives in Tampa, Florida. And 2 days later, I had a conversation with my father. And after conversing with him, I discovered that I was the eldest of his 9 children, seven of which are still living. So I started life as an only child, and now I'm the eldest of 7. And I came to understand, after understanding my father's story, that my second conversation with him, right? And it's just the two of us on the phone, and I'm, asking him the basic questions that a then 72-year-old man would want to ask his 92-year-old father, right? And I asked him about my name. I said, well, my mom told me that you named me Anthony. He said, yeah. So I named you Anthony. He said, well, why? He said, well, I like going to movies. Like, wait a minute. You didn't name me after Anthony Quinn. Yeah, I did. My middle name is Tyrone. You didn't name me after Tyrone Power, did you? Yes. But the other part of that is I was researching my name, Anthony. I found that there are 2 saints named Anthony in the Catholic tradition. One is Saint Anthony of Padua, Italy. I had a chance to go to Italy, to Padua, Italy, and I saw his shrine. And Saint Anthony of Padua is the patron saint of lost things, lost objects, lost people. So I said, well, yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I've been searching for my identity. I've been searching for my father. I've been searching to understand who I was as a person of African ancestry. So that name fits. And then I also discovered that there's another Saint Anthony who was an Egyptian who started the first monastic order. And there's a monastery of St. Anthony in the eastern desert of Egypt. So what I began to understand is that maybe The purpose of my biological father's life was to plant the seed and then disappear. Plant the seed and give me my name. And that name would describe my destiny. It would have me, his absence would have me searching for a missing part of my life, a missing part of my soul. And in the process of seeking to find that missing part, I would find out who I was as a person of African ancestry, and I would share that information with other people who were also missing an important part of their soul. And I would find my father when I was supposed to find him. And upon finding him, I find out that even though I didn't know him, I was carrying him with me in my heart all of my life. I was carrying him in my DNA all of my life. So this is the journey that was supposed to be. And if I go back to this idea, this thought that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, then when my soul was in the other realm, I made a choice to come back into the body of a 16-year-old woman who had had relationships with a man who was 4 years older than her and was going to abandon her, right? So that I would come into the world craving certain things that would lay out or establish the blackprint, if you will, for how I was going to live this particular life. So I embrace all of these things, man. Everything happens for a reason. And I find that the more I embrace these realities, the more I'm able to face reality. And that's what made this journey so interesting.
I appreciate you sharing that part, man.
Yeah. Well, so another part of that story is once I began talking about having found my biological father, that gave permission for other black men that I knew and had known for years to tell me that they had the same experience. You know, they never met their biological father. And one of the realities that this issue brings to my consciousness is that so many of our people live their lives carrying shame, harboring secrets, thinking that secrets are really protecting you or protecting your child or protecting your loved one from something. You need to give all that crap up. There are no secrets. We need to live in the light of day, right? We need to embrace whatever life brings our way because we asked for it, right? That's the challenge that we came here to overcome. And when we embrace that, then we can begin to live life to its fullest and be able to benefit from all the joy and the opportunities that are here waiting for us. You mentioned epigenetics. Let me reference that for a minute. Epigenetics is a relatively new concept that people are now discussing, but I think because of how we've been socialized, they discuss and focus on the negative aspects